So for me, the number one thing that I love about the Ioniq 5 is actually just driving the Ioniq 5. I love the instant torque. I love the power that's available when I want it. It's not crazy quick, but it's definitely very quick still. Definitely push you into the back of your seat quick. How fast the car is can be subjective. I think a lot of it depends on what a person's used to. So here's a bit of my car history. I'm used to cars typically with 0 to 60 times within the 5 to 6 second range. I've had SUVs. I've had 2008 Audi S6 that was a naturally aspirated V10, made a ton of power. I've had a bunch of hatchbacks and coupes, 300 horsepower range, 0 to 60 times again, 5 to 6 second range. So if that's what you're used to, I think the Ioniq 5 all-wheel drive is going to feel plenty quick. If you're used to 0 to 60 times, maybe in the 4 second range or even high 3 second range, the Ioniq 5 might feel a little slow to you. So I would say for most people, I think it's going to feel plenty quick. If you're into performance cars, then it might not quite stack up. And part of the Ioniq 5 driving experience that I like so much actually involves this drive mode selector right here. Typically what happens is I end up driving in eco mode just to save some battery. And then if I need to do a quick passing maneuver, then it's just a quick one push and I'm in normal mode, and that gives you plenty of passing power. Again, if you want more, you can always go to sport mode, but I love just where the placement is and how easily it is to toggle these modes. For example, usually I drive with my hand here, accessible to the paddle, but like I said, if I need to pass someone, just a single flip, that's it, and then I go right back into eco when I'm done. So number 2 for me would be the regen system and the regen paddles. So here's a quick view of the paddles. There's the one on the left, has a little plus sign there, and then the one on the right, that's got a minus sign on it. And in the back, to help you differentiate which one's which, this one has a little nub on the right, and then for the left one, they actually put an indentation on it. So the paddles themselves, they feel really nice. They feel like they're connected pretty well. They don't feel flimsy. So the thing that I love about the system is that the paddles let you modify the regen level instantaneously. So what that means is I can actually use the paddles to come to a complete stop without my foot on the brake and without my foot on the accelerator. So just as an example, right now I'm on level 0, and let's say I've got a stop sign in front of me a little distance away, then I would change to level 1, and then after a little while level 2, and then level 3, and then when I'm almost there, I would change it to I-pedal, and that would come to a complete stop for me. And then the same way, if we're leaving the stop sign, then I would just go all the way back up to level 0, and then repeat as needed. Here's a sample video of me coming to a complete stop without using the brake pedal, without using the one pedal driving. Coming to a red light ahead, and I'll click once to get from level 0 to level 1, and then I'm in level 2, and then level 3, and then I engage I-pedal, which makes that sound. And it's oddly satisfying being able to come to a complete stop just using the paddles. It definitely takes a little bit of practice to do it smoothly, but yeah, it's surprisingly fun. I think if you've driven a manual transmission, or if you've driven a DSG or some kind of automatic that has paddles or a column shifter, then you'll be familiar with downshifting or engine braking, and honestly it drives very similar to that. So shout out to Hyundai. I think they did a fantastic job with the regen system and putting in multiple levels that we can go through manually on the fly. It's been a lot of fun. Number 3 for me would be the excellent tech. So we'll start with the convenience features. The auto trunk open feature has been surprisingly useful and works really well. You're supposed to walk up to it when it's locked, stand there for about 3 seconds, and then it'll open. As you can see, with the way that I park and the way that my driveway's set up, I have to walk around the back to get to the driver's seat, and a lot of times I actually initiate the trunk opening sequence because it's so sensitive and it works so well. Then there's also the auto unlock, where it presents the door handles to you. So here we'll do a demo of the voice recognition. Navigate to Wells Fargo Center.
2 results found. Please say the line number.
Cancel.
Exiting voice recognition.
Navigate to 3601 South Broad Street, Philadelphia.
Would you like to set this as the destination?
Cancel.
Exiting voice recognition.
Driver's ventilated seat, level 1.
Setting the driver's air ventilation seat to level 1.
Heated steering wheel on.
Sorry,
Driver seat warmer, level 1.
Setting the driver's seat warmer to level 1.
So I've actually been pretty impressed with Hyundai's lane keep and Highway Driver Assist suite. I've had a Tesla Model 3 with autopilot as a rental for about a week, so I got to try out a lot of the tech. And one of the things I noticed was anytime I tried to override or get some steering input while autopilot was engaged, it would really fight me on it. So for example, if I felt it was steering too close to another lane and I try to give it some input, the steering wheel would kind of stiffen up or lock up, and then if I gave it any more, then it actually do a quick jerk and cancel autopilot. And that jerking motion would really offset the car. So yeah, it was a pretty violent jolt, but with Hyundai's, I can give it as much steering input as I need, and when I'm done, it'll take back over, almost like nothing had ever happened. In addition to all the convenience tech, there's also really good driver's assistance tech and safety tech in place as well. For blind spot, there's actually 4 locations where they'll warn you or allow you to see what's going on. First, in your side mirrors, there's that little triangle that'll light up red, and then in your gauge cluster, if you have the turn signal engaged, you'll have the actual monitor view. And then also in the gauge cluster in the middle, if you're in the right screen mode, you'll be able to see these red rings that come up, and you'll see those same rings in the heads-up display as well. So here's a sample. I have lane keep and highway driver assist engaged. You're seeing those little rings come up on the bottom right of the gauge cluster. That was for that semi-truck coming up from behind. If you have cars in both blind spots, it'll show it on both sides. With highway driver assist, you also get, renderings. It's basically blocks, but it'll show you what cars it sees in the sensors as well. 2 other tech-related things that I thought were pretty cool. If you're sitting at a light and the car ahead of you pulls away, it'll actually show a message on your gauge cluster. It'll also show arrows on your heads-up display showing the car pulling away. And if you're going down a one-way in the wrong direction, same thing, it'll show an actual message. It'll make some audible sounds. That happened to me because there was construction, so they routed me through a one-way street, and while I was going down that street, that message came up. So number 4 for me would be just the interior of the Ioniq 5, and by interior I mean just being inside. Whether I'm driving, whether I'm sitting, charging, it's just been a really comfortable place to be. The cabin's also very quiet. There's actually a trash truck going by. I don't know if you caught that, but like I said, it's really quiet inside. and the other thing is just the amount of space you get. So my other car, which my wife drives, is the 2016 Volvo XC90. It's a large 3-row SUV, and when I switched from driving that one and coming back to the Ioniq 5, it's just crazy. It's shocking how much space I get inside while sitting here. We also have rear-facing child seats, both cars, and for that one, if anyone sits directly in front, you have to choose. Either you want a little bit of leg room or you want a little bit of recline. If you choose recline, then basically you have to jam your legs right into the glove box. Whereas with the Ioniq 5, it's crazy. You can actually have a normal amount of leg room and actually have a decent amount of recline. So, yeah, really good job by Hyundai. Great packaging on the inside to allow just so much comfort and so much space. And number 5 for me would just be how this car looks. Every time I walk my car, it brings a smile to my face, because most of the time I spend is inside the car. So I often forget just how crazy this thing looks. I wish there were more around so I could see what other people are seeing when they see me on the road. So funny story about the looks of the car. About a block away from my house, they were doing construction for about 3 or 4 days. It looked like they were replacing a huge section of sidewalk. So there was a crew of 6 or 7 guys, and basically I had to pass them probably 4 times each day, back and forth, just coming and going from the house. And without fail, every time I drove by them, they'd stop what they were doing, and they'd all just stare as the car drove by. And there was one time where I think I was gone for maybe 5 minutes. So literally they saw me and they stared at me leaving, and then they saw me and stared at me as I was coming back. And it was just nonstop for the 3 days that they were there. And it's been similar with pretty much anywhere I've gone. From street parking, I'll get people stopping me to say, hey, where did you get that thing? Didn't know it was even for sale yet. Looks amazing. To if I'm at the charger, I'll get people pulling up to me asking me about the car. If I'm parked in a parking lot, I'll have people yelling across the parking lot asking me about the car. If I'm driving, I'll have people pulling up alongside me and slowing down and just basically staring at the car. So yeah, it's a real head turner. So just a quick summary. Number 1 for me as far as favorite things about the car after 2 weeks and about 800 miles. With number 1 is the driving experience. And it's got really good acceleration. It's got a really good drive mode selector with excellent placement. So it allows me to drive economically when I want to, but it also allows me to switch back and forth really easily. So much so that I don't even mind being in eco mode all the time. Number 2 for me would be the regen system. I think the paddles are a lot of fun. You can use them to come to a complete stop, and it's oddly satisfying to be able to do that. Definitely takes a little bit of practice, but I don't think the Mach-E or the ID4 or even the Polestar 2 or any Teslas have any kind of regen paddle system. I think most of them make you go through multiple menus through the infotainment system to change your regen settings. I think the Nissan Leaf had a physical switch for you to toggle the one pedal driving on or off, but not really something like this where you have multiple levels. So outside of the Hyundai, Kia, Genesis line of cars, I don't know of any other that has anything like this. Definitely comment below if you know of any. But yeah, I just think it adds so much to the driving experience. It wasn't even on my radar until I actually got to spend some time with it. So yeah, I think if you want a fun EV to drive, because this has these paddles, I think it really is a fun drive. Number 3 is just the excellent tech. from the great convenience tech, like I said, the trunk opening and the door handles, even the voice recognition. Those are really nice convenience features, to the driver assistance stuff and the safety tech. I think it's pretty crazy that Blind Spot has actually 4 locations to make sure you know what's going on. Number 4 for me is the interior. I think it's a great design of the interior space. It almost feels lounge-like. With the rear seats, you can have just a crazy amount of recline that I've never seen before. You also have the movable center console, and if you add that vision roof, during the day, it's in so much light, and even at night you have the ambient light, so it really does provide kind of a lounge-like feeling, so much so that it could be a great place to hang out. It doesn't even feel like you're in a car, honestly. And lastly was just the looks of the car. I really like the way it looks. I'm finding I actually like it even more than I had originally thought. I was a little worried about the matte colored paint, but after spending time with it, I think it just looks amazing. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 of things that I like about the car after about 800 miles, about 2 weeks. And I'll be circling back with some dislikes probably next week, so stay tuned for that.